Hello everyone, welcome back. And today we will decode your current existence, right? So we previously talked about all those things that dense and I will explain a bit also because I assume that many people would not been able to see the previous videos. I would of course suggest them to watch it, not because of the views or the subscribers, but rather if they really want to understand the life to its core fundamental. However, today what we are mainly going to talk about is your current existence. Like how do you actually perceive your existence as such in at this point of time, and basically in this point of time I mean in this, what can I say, era, right? So I'm not wasting any talks here and there. Rather, I will just into the deep because we have a lot to explain today and a lot of topics, a lot of case. We have, mathematics there's and computers also. There is a called thing called case study, uh, where I will analyze each and every situation that you are basically going through in the sense that you find yourself in these kind of situations. You will just keep watching, you would enjoy a lot, and of course let me just come a bit forward. Yeah, you would of course enjoy a lot, and you would learn a lot as well. So that was the main goal, I think, to make you learn, right? Why is learning important, we'll also come to that. But currently let's focus on this, okay? So your current existence. So as we know, our mind, this is our mind, right? So of course, once again, let me repeat myself. Our mind is not biologically like this. Research is still going on that what is the relationship between the brain and the consciousness, thoughts. This is a, neuroscience is a big topic, right? So this is still being researched on. So right now, if you think that how can mind have dens, these dens are not physical, right? So डेंस का मतलब मैंने जो इधर ड्रॉ किया कि बेसिकली दिस डेंस they are conditioning, like they're kind of conditioning, you can say that. Okay, people have told you this, that's why this kind of dent has been made on you. If you want to know more about dents, you can of course refer to my previous videos, but summarizing it, dents are like, for the time being you can assume that dents are basically conditioning. So let's say food, junk food, that's a dent. Let's say this is the junk food dent. Let's say this is your parents dent, right? So your parents also are an integral part of your life, right? So parents are also your dents. And then there is, let's say, some masturbation, that dent is there. Then dent of friends, then dent of, let's say, studies, money, sports, anything. I have just shown dot 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 because it continues until infinity. So there is infinite dense. You have infinite dense in your mind, and uh, you might not believe it. However, you as a whole just comprise of this whole thing. Of course you have a physical body and all those things, but I'm talking to the mind, right? Your entire code of existence, which is it, this is just dot. Those who have watched my previous video, they would be able to tell what is this dot, this small dot in between all these what can I say, irregularities, is your restlessness, your desperation. Why you do anything? You do anything because of your constant restlessness or desperation. So that constant restlessness or desperation is the core of your existence. And what are these? These are the various dents. Let's say this is dent of parents. Let's say this is dent of exams, or in India there's exams like JE and all. Let's say JE, or let's say dent of, let's say, junk food. Let's say dent of sports. Let's say dent of masturbation. Let's say another dent, any dent you name it, it is here. It is just a few dents I've mentioned, a few common ones. Of course there are more, like let's say uh, another dent, what can we take, singing, passion, hobbies, that is again your dance. So whatever you do, and each and every second, whatever you try to do is you just try to get peace. You are looking for some kind of peace or pleasure that will satisfy you to the complete, that will complete you. So this is your entire code of existence. Just understand this. Your code of existence is not that, okay, मैं किसी का बेटा हूं मैं, किसी का गर्लफ्रेंड हूं, बॉयफ्रेंड हूं. It's not like that, right? So your entire core existence lies on this fact that you are a restlessness. You are just desperate to do something. Let's say people say that, okay, I am this person's partner, I am this person's wife. All this is okay, this is external, worldly, but who are you? You are a human being, and within human being or any living being, what's the code? The actual code is existence. Now to fulfill all our dens, we have created various things like masturbation, then marriage, then sex, and all this. And that's moral values like give respect to elders. Whether these are wrong or right, we'll come to it. Okay, we will eventually come to it, but understand that these are the dens, those that are made to, what can I say, to complete you. Let's say you have been dented upon, like you have been imposed upon that, okay, if I get a partner, my life would be complete. Especially girls, they are told that have a baby, uh, live like a good housewife, or if not a housewife, live like a good wife, listen to your so-called dominating husband, and you should respect him also. In some in especially villages and stuff, this kind of things also happen, that you can see this in those kind of like old serials and all. They say that don't call your husband, respect your husband, don't call your husband by his name, call him by anything else. These kind of things happen. Even just, can you see, these are just, that dent is made on the wife or on the husband also, to satisfy the husband's desire that, okay, I am the one controlling, no one is above me. That's the sense. So your entire life is just this restlessness. This is your entire core. You are not, again let me repeat, you are not someone, something, anything. You are not an object. Your core is this restlessness. This is your core. Just understand it. This is one of the most fundamental, what fundamental thing in your life. The only thing apart from death which is constant is this, your constant restlessness. Each and every action. Why did you come to this video? Because out of all the videos, this thumbnail or this title attracted you, because the dens of this title were more. That's why you came, and you thought that, okay, after watching this video, I would be satisfied. That's your core, right? The sizes of these dens vary accordingly. So as I mentioned, these are all dens, right? So rapes, porn, violence, food, money. Ultimately, people, of course, there are many incidents which is, you know, very tragic, that people, do these kind of things, rapes, and people watch this porn, and violence, of course. Violence too is in domestic violence, political violence, everywhere. You just go outside, within, let's say, 1 an hour or half an hour, you would just go to the marketplace, you would see someone quarreling, someone slapping, especially in those village areas, right? You can see them a lot, because in metropolitan cities what happens is that people are restricted. We'll come to restrictions also, but first let's go through this. Okay, rapes, porn, a psychological report was issued, like some organization, NGO. So what they did, they were interested in the human psychology. So what they did is they took the interviews of some few rapists, right? Basically those who rape. So maximum of them admitted that they were watching violent porn, right? And that increased their increased their dent or desire to get that experience in real life. And of course, in real life there are restrictions. They just can't obviously go out and tell a girl that, okay, I will rape you, or I will have this that kind of sex with you. So what they do is they suppress the opposing gender, and they do this. Let me use a different color. They do this rape. And some people might think that rapes is, okay, very bad, but again, food, money, these are also dense. These are not something different. Let's say you are eating junk food, maybe some psychological or maybe some physical effects would be different. That okay, if you do rape, then of course people will criticize you. That is one thing, and of course you would not be unhealthy. However, if you eat too much junk food, then you would be very unhealthy, and people will not criticize you. And if you have a lot of money, then people will respect you. This again, these are dens. You are satisfying your restlessness. That okay, this money will satisfy me. This is just desperation. This food is nothing. Eating junk food and constantly running after money, this is not anything different from rapes. That is your code understanding. You need to understand that what I am trying to tell is that ये जो तुम करते हो, फूड, मनी, पैसा, रेप, ये सब एक ही चीज है, राइट? इट्स जस्ट दैट desperation within you that does this. The forms of which it expresses itself is different according to the circumstances. So this restlessness or desperation is a constant. Whatever you do, now you are, let's say you scroll through your phone, again there is just a desperation. However, restrictions have been imposed upon you, and it's very immoral. Why immoral? We will also come to that, to do this kind of acts. That's why you choose something that people will not criticize you for scrolling. And if someone criticizes you for scrolling, either two things can happen. Either you will feel that okay, yeah, he's still in the right, or either you will even block that person because you will feel that no, he's hurting my what can I say, my ego. Okay, so let's come to it, right? So how this day, so basically this dent of sexual urge is in every individual, even in animal beings. So this size varies. So let's say the dent is very deep, so you would do anything to fill this dent, to feel complete. So you would go to extreme measures like rapes and all. However, if your dent is small, what you would do? You would listen to the society or your so-called parents, and what you would do? You will marry a girl, and then do the same thing with her, and then you will call it, oh, that's not rape. That's just love, so-called pretty love, right? Anyways, so I hope that's clear. Will again, I've made cases, as you can see, case 1, case 2, case 3. Let's not spoil, right? So I don't want to give any spoilers. So this is the first thing, right? So case 1 is basically this can again be categorized as the modes of living. In modes of living, I explained them on the basis of the first model. However, this I am explaining on the general model, right? So just watch it. So case 1, mixture of dents and restrictions. Cannot do anything freely. Nothing is giving peace, just frustrated. Okay. So let's say you are working towards a particular task. Like, people of my age in India, like if they are from science background or maybe some other also, what they do from the youth, they do that they prepare for exams like JE and NEET and UPSC. I'm just okay writing it. So they prepare for this and they complain that to their teachers and to their friends that I have a lot of distractions. I have a lot of you know people might have financial problems. Some people also have this that I have duties also. I have to go to school and all these. Basically, why is this happening? Because they are, let's see, they think that their main target is this exam. I have taken here sex money, and generalized because not everyone gives this examination. So uh, it's exam. This is also, let's say you are targeting a particular exam, right? So what happens is that when you are working towards that examination, you have your restrictions upon you. You are not able to follow this dent completely. Why? Because of course there is distraction, there is duties. Distractions, why? Because of course this dent is not fulfilling you. As you know, the dent does not fulfill you. The dent only increases your desire. If you had have sex one time, then of course you would feel very satisfied. Why there is a need to do it again? If you had junk food one time and you ate it and you feel very satisfied, fulfilled, why again do you need to eat the same junk food that you say, I love it, I love eating that food, and you will eat it again? Why? That is because just your desire has been increasing, right? So when you are continuously after the particular dent, you are not able to follow it freely because there are distractions and duties. basically restrictions. What are those? I have written here. Some dents may be smaller because of restriction. Okay, so some dents may be smaller because of restriction. Example: smoking, drinking. So I've taken this example of myself. I come from a family where my parents are educated, and both are so-called socially respected. That okay, they have money and all those. So, and my father is also a doctor, and of course they have you know basically you can say middle class family. So we know, like, of course, like for me, I have not developed these traits yet. Smoking, drinking, my friends, a few of my friends, they are unrestricted. Like their parents might not be putting much restrictions on them. Restrictions that okay, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. But I was a subject to these restrictions, so I did not touch, or I did not indulge into the smoking or drinking activities, which of course helped me a lot. But why did it help? That will also will come to. We have to break each and every point to the core, not just blindly believe, right? So for me, I have not smoked, or I have not have drinks. I did not have any wine and all. So why I did not have, I do not like there are like hangovers and all. Those I did not have. Why? Because I was imposed by, I was captured. I was a victim of this restriction, so I was not able to do this, right? So this is what restriction. And to know more about restriction, just go to the previous video. I've explained it there in more detail. So restriction is just that you feel that if you do, if let's say a common example, let's say you take the example of parents, right? So this is a dent of parents. So ultimately what you want this dent to feel fulfilled, right? With water and all, you want this dent to completely fulfill you. So what you do is you sign a kind of contract, mentally, that okay, I will listen to my parents. Then if I listen to my parents, then this dent would be fulfilled. If I get respect in the society, then my respect dent would be fulfilled, and I would be feeling happy. Again, this is all just conditioning and all bullshit, right? Okay, so that's why I hope you understood that why you keep getting these distractions and duties, because you are not able to follow one thing completely. You are just restricted. Of course, you cannot study whole day. Like you cannot just focus on that one dent every damn second, because you know that that dent is ultimately not giving you peace. You thought that once you clear this examination, it would give you peace. Even if you clear this examination, I hope many people, many IITians, your so-called idols, they go for spirituality, and they go for understanding of life and all. Why? Because they understands that this dent is not the thing they were looking for. So these distractions and duties, they hindered your so-called preparation. Why? Because the restriction is too, because previously the restriction was less. Now let's say as teenagers the restriction is obviously much more less. So these things spike up because we are looking for what? Water, pleasure. So these things spike up and hinder. Now, for some people, let's say even now the restriction is very harsh. Like you might have heard those motivational stories like poor farmer sons crack IIT. Very good. Of course, not criticizing them. Poor, from I heard a case that someone cracked IIT from jail, right? So ultimately, what the thing they have done is, what's different in them is that their restrictions are much larger. Their restrictions is that if I cannot go to a good college, then I cannot improve my lifestyle. That is their restrictions. So that's why there these so-called distractions and these things doesn't hamper them much. Of course it hampers also, but not as much as it does to normal people. So they just directly go on and get the desired things, whether money, whether exam, or whether sexual desire, whatever. So this is the case one where you are mixed with both dense. You are following your dense, but you are restricted also. You just cannot follow freely. Like if I just go out that all those porn watchers who are in this video, if you, I know people have their desire have been porn have been increasing, but of course uh, you have not. You are restrictions are imposed upon you. You just cannot go out and ask any girl that okay I will have sex with you. Of course not. Why? Because restrictions are there, right? I hope it's clear. So this was the case one, restrictions plus dense. Case two, no restrictions, randomly moving, no new target. This is when your restriction breaks and rapes and violence happens. Here you meet your restlessness directly face to face. So here, let's say people don't have any parents. Let's say these homeless people, or these people who are very rich, they don't have any restrictions. Might be they have some restrictions, but they don't you know believe much on these restrictions. Again, restrictions is again a dent. So maybe the restriction tent is low. That's why you are just, let's say you are just doing everything. You are doing whatever that is giving you pleasure. Like the thing in Charvak philosophy, that do whatever that gives you pleasure. That okay, let's say someone kept a plate of very good food with me. I ate. Okay, I found a video, so let's do the masturbation. I found a girl. She's very good, beautiful looking. So let me go and rape her. This is again your constant restlessness. I hope you are not getting uncomfortable with this style I'm saying, because I know this rapes and sex is not generally talked about a lot because they think it's taboo. But the thing is that they don't understand the society, that it's essential to talk about them. Because now if I point out to the society, then society would also again criticize, because I'm hurting their so-called ego. Now if I say that don't respect elders, why should I respect elders? Then again, the people of the older society, they will say that morality, you should have morals, you don't have morals. Like, again, they are not understanding that they have this restlessness within them. They want the others to satisfy this restlessness, and hence they tend to dominate. Their domination dent is high. That's why they want to take control. That's why we say that respect the elders, listen to the elders, and all those. So I hope it's clear. So this is the case too, where you are just doing each and everything that whatever your restlessness tells you. So basically, whatever you are doing, you are just doing for the sake of restlessness itself. There is no restrictions upon you. You feel like going out naked to the road, you just go out naked. Why? Because you don't have any restrictions. So you do whatever your restlessness or desperation tells you to do. You do whatever. Of course, many of you have not lived this lifestyle, and of course, it's not possible because, again, restrictions there, but few people who have lived it. Here you meet your restlessness directly face to face. You directly meet that what am I doing. You just directly observe that whatever my so-called mind is putting into me, so-called I think will give me pleasure, I just go after that. You just meet with your restlessness face to face. And this is where this rapes and all happens, because the dent has become too large, and the restrictions has been almost negligible, and hence people do those things to satisfy their incompleteness. So I hope this case 2 is again clear. This is the reason these rapes, these porns, this porn content people watch, and all these, let's say you're scrolling continuously. That's again a case of constant desperation. So you linger in most of your time, you just linger between these two. Mostly this because restrictions are more, but a few places where your where your restrictions are less, you follow this, and there you meet your restlessness face to face. Right. So I hope these two cases are clear. Case 3, extreme pain, trauma. This again I explained in another video, existential crisis. But, anyways, so what happens is in these people is that a particular dent is very deep. A particular dent is very much deep, because it has never been fulfilled, and it has been very much suppressed. You can understand, it's like what it's the only thing you want to get. For, let's say, people who are preparing for these examinations, this JEE and NEET, UPSC, they think once I crack this UPSC, I become IAS officer, IPS officers. Once I crack this JEE, I will become IITN. Once I crack this NEET, then I would have to study a bit, then I would become a successful doctor. I would earn money. And they believe that once this dent is fulfilled, like if I fill it with water, if it is completely filled with water, then I would feel fulfilled. So this is in this kind of cases, the dent is very deep. right? The particular, let's say someone um, let me take an example of Harry Potter, right? So I hope it's very common novel if you haven't read it, but let me just explain. So Harry Potter was very very famous character. So what happened is that his parents died when he was a very very little young child. Some villain killed them, so he was never able to get that love or pleasure. Family, he could not get that family love. Okay, so he grew up with his uncle and aunt, and they did not of course they did not like him much. However, so in him there was a dent developed, that so whenever he found his good friends, and he found his friends Ron, their family to be very uh, welcoming, he was deeply attached to them. Why? And he was very emotionally attached to them. Why? Because their dent was very deep. He had extreme pain or traumas as a childhood. And this is not only the Harry Potter, it's us. People who have extreme pains or traumas, that is the only case with them. Let's say something bad happened with their childhood or their parents. Anything, any example you want to take. Then that particular dent is very deep, and you just feel that once this dent is complete, you would get the peace, complete peace you would find. Now Harry thought that, okay, once I get my mother and father back, then I would be very happy. Of course, which was not meant to be, but even if he got back, then also he would not be happy, because ultimately he is a human. And what is inside a human? Constant restlessness. So I hope it's clear that this extreme. I took a famous example so that you can relate it more. But I hope this case of extreme pain and trauma is clear. It's just because you just have a larger dent. That particular dent. Let's say we say that I'm a JE aspirant, right? So that JE dent, or let's say parents dent, is very big. That's why I reject all these things. I do them, but I focus mainly on this to somehow fulfill this den. If only it was fulfilled, then I would be very satisfied. But once it will, of course, you will get momentary pleasure. But again, that restlessness will continue to haunt you. So that's case three, and now the case four: meeting the real you. So in the above cases, what was happening? It was just something different from you. If you felt a kind of burden, I'm sure that if you have tried these two, I'm sure you have felt that kind of burden. If you're in this state of extreme pain also, I'm sure you have felt that sense of hopelessness, desperation, that my life is just ruined, my life is trash, what will happen to me? It's just so cooked, in modern language, cooked life. So you don't feel like the real you. And in case 4, you meet the thing within you, that is what makes you different. Meeting with the real you. Okay. Higher dense in the sense that something that has a sense of highness. Now, when I say sex, I'm sure how you would wonder that, sir, I play sports. How can you, I study. How can you indulge sex or, eating junk food with physics or sports, cricket? Like how, sir? I don't think I know. I understand your point. मैं समझता हूँ तुम्हारी बात, but ये कैसे क्रिकेट के साथ तुम सेक्स को कैसे कंपेयर कर रहे हो भाई? This is again an obvious query that is coming to your mind. So who is the real you? This is the immersion. I've explained it in a lot of detail. So I hope that you have watched it. Please don't ruin your life. Just watch this entire series once. Just I know I can help you. Please put the efforts. So in immersion, what happens is that you choose higher dense. Let's say you're eating some junk food, JF. How can you say, like, your obvious next question is, sir, I am playing cricket also. Cricket also I'm playing. I'm studying physics also. How can you know, relate eating junk food with something like playing cricket or something like studying physics? How can you relate? Like, here, that there's a sense of loweredness, but that cricket is, very vigorous. So how can you say that they're equals? Of course, they are not. Like, how can they be equal, sir? I don't get your exactly this point. That okay, dense is fine, but exactly I do think that there is something called a higher dent and lower dent, because higher dent, how it's just immoral. It's like impossible to compare cricket with this eating junk food. So when you choose this higher dens, you are in this state of immersion, right? So this is the real you. The immersion, the immersed you is the real you. So imagine yourself as this. This is your mind, or you can say this is your collective ego. CE, collective ego. Who is this? This is your restlessness. And what are these? These are dens, various dens that say, okay, I am a JE aspirant. Okay, I am my parents' child. I am this person's girlfriend or boyfriend. I have these friends and I study in this school. Of course, there are infinitely many dens. This is just your collective ego that I am something, I am something, I am something. Your entire identity revolves around this thing, as I mentioned. So, who are you? I am a restlessness, right? So, when you are in the state of immersion, or you are choosing some higher dense, like let's say right now, after while watching this video, I'm speaking vigorously. I'm in immersion, right? So, of course, I cannot relate this with something like if I just masturbate. How can I say that this making the video with so vigorous process is same is as masturbating, right? So of course I cannot. So what actually happens in there is that, let's say this is a ball, okay? So when you choose higher dense, what are higher dense exactly, we'll come to it, more detail. But you can, for instance, you can say cricket, or instance you can say any sport you like, any passion you feel like you have, okay, that kind of thing, where you completely seem absorbed in the work, you don't care about anything external, you are just fixed on the work itself. So what happens here, that of course the ego is there, the restlessness is there, and out of that restlessness you try to immerse yourself in this ocean. Okay, let's say this is immersion. Immersion, let's say there's a ball and the ball is immersed into an ocean. So what happens is that restlessness forces you, or you just randomly throw your hands and legs, which I've written here also. I'll come to it. Okay. So what happens in this immersion state is that this ball enters this ocean and stays there. And when it stays there, its desire, its restlessness decreases. Now it has found the real solution. Now it has found the real truth that, okay, previously whatever I was doing, it was just increasing my desire. But this thing, this so called, when I'm in this immersion state, or I'm following my higher dens, which I think is a bit, above than this lower, eating junk food and all, then I feel a sense of calmness, the actual peace. Maybe for a bit, I know, might not be for long, but maybe for a bit I experience it. So I've written it here. You didn't know that this was right. You were randomly throwing your legs here and there. But once in this state, your restlessness decreases. However, you are forced to come out of it either because of restrictions and other things. Again, let's say you are in sports. You are playing very vigorously. Let's say the ball is coming, or let's say you are hitting the bat. Here is your bat, and you are just hitting, focusing how to get the ball out of the boundary. And let's say football is coming. You are let's say midfielder, striker, whatever. You have to dribble past the opponent player, have to pass or either score the goal. Your complete focus, attention is on that action itself, not that, okay, let me, when will I masturbate? When will I eat junk food? When will I talk to my girlfriend? Of course, these thoughts might come, but if you play vigorously, if you play like it's very important, like by focusing your full attention on it, you will, of these thoughts, you will reject yourself. Tell me, have you ever felt the urge to masturbate in when you were in playing? I know if you were sitting idle, you were eating junk food, then of course you would feel the urge to masturbate, or do those kind of acts. But let's say you are just playing very vigorously, and you just played very vigorously. temporarily, you tell me that, will you like to just masturbate, and will you think that, okay, let me just masturbate, I played too much, let me just masturbate? Of course not. When this so-called feeling finishes, why it finishes? Because you are forced out of it. The effect is valid only until you are in this ocean. Of course, when you just go out of this ocean, you are nothing. But that again, the same thing, maybe a bit size reduced. Uh, Maybe the same ego, that same collective ego you are. Again, this resistance tells, do this, do that, do this, do that, follow this. Excuse me, do this, do that, ये करो वो करो, इससे चैन मिल जाएगा. Again, same thing. So, however, you don't want to come out of this state, honestly. Like, let's say you are focusing on playing, and you're playing very vigorously. And let's say you are studying a subject, or you are watching a documentary, you know, which is very interesting. Or it can be many, let's say you are singing, or let's say you are dancing, anything. You're so, anything, whatever you call passion, right? So, you just want to keep doing it all day long. However, at the end you are forced to come out of it. Why? Let's your parents call, let's your friends call, let's you have a desire to eat. सो भाई, मैं बोलते बोलते मेरा भी हो गया मेरा. जस्ट आई वाज गिविंग दिस एग्जांपल. The same thing happened with me. However, you are forced to come out of it because of restrictions and other dents. Again, some my mother came, so I had to open the door because no one was there. So of course I had to check. Uh, Again, just I was giving this example. The same thing happened. I was immersed, and I was again called out. You are forced to come out of it because of restriction and other dents. Again, I had this dent, so I had to listen to it, and I just broke my state in the sense that I was, for temporary moment. However, I'm immediately immersing back, so it will not make much difference. But just this example I'm giving, right? So I hope it's clear that uh, when we are immersed, we feel like the sense of lostness. Currently, that I am just focusing on how I am speaking, what I am speaking, and I am focusing on what I've written. I am reading out to, and also simultaneously explaining. So again, so I hope you feel that you want to stay in this state of immersion, that okay, let me stay in this state forever. This is very, like, it is the one that is giving me true peace, not like the other that promises me peace but again cheats me at the end. However, again, you are forced to come out of it because of restrictions that are the dense, which you choose to listen to. Yes, playing football is fun, of course. Your ego has to push you for it, and efforts have to be made. And while doing this, you reach a certain state of magical lostness where you will give full attention, and this is the point of immersion. So this is just an illustrative example I have taken, so that let's say you were talking with your friend, you were eating food, and you were talking with your partner, you were scrolling through reels. That okay, so suddenly some friend came you and told that, "Hey, football खेलते हैं भाई, football खेलते हैं, मजा आएगा." So you decided, yeah, I'm doing everything, so let's just do the football itself. You just randomly started playing football. That, so, and of course, now your friends are there, so your ego has to boost. Like, you cannot just stand here like a guy and just stand. Your friend would obviously criticize. But of course, your ego has to push the thing for you, because the ego needs to do it. Without the help of ego, you cannot. The ego, again, let me remind you, the ego is your enemy, but your friend simultaneously. We'll also talk about this also, because it is the ego, your restlessness, that pushes you to this. In spite of all these things, all these restlessness things, it was just randomly throwing hands that, okay, this will give me peace, इससे चैन मिल जाएगा, इससे शांति मिल जाएगा. But by luck or by chance, you can say that you found this playing football vigorously. And in doing this, of course, you have to play with efforts first. Of course, you just cannot immediately immerse. You need to first, analyze and know all those things. What are the things required for immersion? I've also mentioned in the previous video, in the immersion video. So I hope you can check it out as well if you are truly interested. So, and in this state, you enter a certain state of magical lostness where you give full attention to the work itself, not that what will happen when I go home, when will I eat food, uh, I had, when will I get parents' love? Let's see in Harry Potter again that example when Harry was, the first book itself, he was, let's say, he was playing Quidditch. Did he then think that about the mirror of Erised, like ERISD, that whatever the name was? Okay, so then he did not think that. Okay, I need to go see my parents. Of course, maybe that thought came to him, but he just rejected it. Why? Because he was more focused on Quidditch, and that was a sport. Okay, just see the relatability, right? So I hope it's clear to you. And in this stage, right? And in this stage, the lover of immersion. I know it sounds a bit poetic, but it's just real love, unconditional. A level of immersion is implanted on you. All these self doubts arising from dens would vanish, or you would just ignore them as the significance decreases. So, again, the same thing. All your so called restrictions and all temporarily, if you are focusing on that, then they would just vanish. Your lack of knowledge that maybe if that would happen, if that might happen, what will I do? That entire sense of incompleteness vanishes, because maybe for a moment you feel complete, actually complete, not pleasurable. You feel that shanti, चैन चैन मिल जाता है तुमको, right? So of course, as I mentioned, you would reject these thoughts if it comes to you. So can you see, this is the magical you, the real you, where you are completely immersed, like just focusing vigorously on the action present in front of you, full attention. Not that you are doing it very, again, this example I also gave, that I just sit here and I just do like, okay, meeting with the real you did not know that this was right, you were randomly throwing your legs, okay. And I'm not doing it like this. Again, this is passiveness. You need to be active to be in immersion. So after all these things said, one last thing I would say is that you choose to get immersed. The statement, I cannot immerse myself, is a lie. Every time, every time you do a certain action, you choose to immerse in it. Currently, I'm choosing to immerse in this video. I could also, as I mentioned, could just sit passively and read this passage out to you and not explain anything. However, it's your conscious choice that you need to choose every time to get immersed in that particular thing. And what that particular thing is, we'll come to it. Of course, that's again big topic. Immerse in what? We'll come to it. We are letting it unexplained in this video, but I just want to debunk your this statement that I cannot immerse, sir. That, sir, whatever I do, I just get distracted. I cannot immerse. Immersion will not come naturally. You have to give efforts. As I mentioned, your restlessness will push you for it. Like all these self doubts would, randomly, let's say you are just doing one thing and let's say some particular thing ended up into your feed, and you just watched it. Let's say a particular video, immersive video like this one. So your efforts, you have to give efforts. Your ego or restlessness was in action, that okay, do this, take this, take that. It would give you peace. However, while doing that, you found the right thing. The right thing in the sense that you found whatever you were actually looking for. The thing that would give you actual peace, right? So you choose to get immersed. The statement I cannot immerse is a lie. So I hope that I have impressed upon you the conclusion that this is complete trash. This statement that I cannot immerse. People will say that, oh no, how can I immerse? I have this thing, I have that thing. I have written here also. You don't immerse. The only reason why you don't immerse is just because you believe that your thoughts are much more important. You give more priority to your thoughts, that, and you believe that okay, my girlfriend is much more important than my immersion state. My exam which is tomorrow, or what the money which I'm looking for is more important than the work which I'm focusing on vigorously. That is the reason you cannot immerse, because your ego constantly haunts you whenever you try to immerse. That, because why the ego haunts? Then we will discuss again in more detail, but let me just brief you. Because the ego just wants to fulfill this dance. However, the restlessness, the main cause of fulfilling was of this dance, was to was to fix this restlessness, which does not happen here. Hence, you think that okay, my girlfriend is more important, my partner is more important, my parents are more important, my studies, my exam is more important, the money I have to earn is more important, and that's why you don't choose to immerse. You say that oh, okay, I'm busy now, I cannot play, I cannot play sports, I cannot immerse myself. So that's the sole reason that you cannot immerse. You say that you cannot immerse mean you don't choose to immerse because you think that your thoughts are much more important. So I hope I have made my point clear. And lastly, the concluding of this video. But what about money? Money, right? It is needed as well, and so the society is also there. We just cannot ignore them. Like, how can हम इग्नोर कैसे करते हैं भाई कि पैसा तो लगेगा भाई. एक बार मैं अभी वीडियो रिकॉर्ड कर रहा हूँ कि मेरे लिए ये इमर्जन हो गया कि मैं वीडियो रिकॉर्ड करके लोगों को ये मैसेज पहुंचाऊंगा. अगर भाई मेरे पास पैसा ही नहीं है तो ये डिवाइस वगैरह कहाँ से आएगा. और जैसे फुटबॉल फुटबॉल के लिए तो बूट्स या फिर बॉल तो लगता ही है ना फुटबॉल खेलने के लिए. तो if I don't have the money, where will I get the things required for immersion? And society is also there. Like it's like so we cannot just ignore society, or otherwise society will just criticize and kill us. Like we have to play intelligently, right? So we just cannot directly ignore. We just cannot directly put out straight facts into them. We need to play very intelligently and know that what is the right way to approach. Because see, now I have told you immersion is important. And immersion is the main solution, main thing that will help you to calm yourself. But money is there, money you need to require, otherwise without money you cannot survive. Of course, I'm also accepting the fact, no arguments. Without money how can you survive? It's just bullshit. Some people that say money doesn't matter. Of course money matters. How, without money how will you do this actual immersion thing, right? Of course again you can, but it's very difficult. Without money, it's like money should be there, and society is also there. Like if we just go out and tell that no, no, you are just doing it wrong, you are just if you just go and tell Elon Musk that no, you are just following the dance, you are just exploiting us. If I go directly and if I tell the elders that no, no, I won't respect you, why should I respect you, it's just your restlessness, you are just trying to dominate. Of course then again they would criticize you. So we have to play intelligently, and we can't just ignore them. Of course not. How can we? It's like, let's be real. Honestly, we can't. So let's get into the final solution. The final solution to everything. Money. Of course we need. Society. We can't ignore this worldly stuff. The bodily pains we have. We have to take the account as well. How can we just ignore them? Of course, honestly, we can't. Right. So now I thought that I would even teach the final solution. However, again, time constraints, the recorder, you know, bit low budget. I hope you understand. But, anyways, uh, think about this because very deep thing that money also matters. After all this, you thought that I would tell that money doesn't matter. Of course, it does. So immersion is not the final solution. Of course, I mean, what all that is the solution that okay, your restlessness will feel satisfied, like it will feel actually complete. It will actually decrease. But where is the practical in it? You just cannot play sports whole day. You just cannot follow your passion whole day. Money, पैसा कहाँ से आएगा भाई? गाना है तो माइक वगैरह इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स कहाँ से आएगा? पैसा ही नहीं है तो इम्प्रैक्टिकल नहीं होने का. ठीक है, each and everything we will deal practically, and that will be the actual final solution. And another question, to immerse in what? Immerse, ठीक है, immerse होना है, किस में immerse होना है? These are some cliffhangers I'm leaving for you. Don't just try to guess. Okay, that okay maybe this. Let me guess. This is the reason. This is the thing I should immerse for. Then again, what you are just feeding your own knowledge. Then that okay, I know as much as he knows, right? So of course, question, always question. If you have any queries, just let me know in the comments. I would try to reply it if time permits. But let's keep the session up to here. I hope you have enjoyed it. The final solution we will look in the next video. Bye bye.